Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Velo podcast. My name is Mike Levy, and today I've got senior tech editor with me, Alvin Holbrook, because we have a ton of news to cover, a lot of it from that little race around France that takes up most of July. We're going to get into those two new Cervelos that couldn't be more different, but are also the same in one very important way. We've also got the most expensive tour bike, which is over $52,000 versus the least expensive tour bike. We'll get to all those numbers in a few minutes. We're also going to look at some new aero road helmets that Alvin is going to tell us about. And there's also some new wheels from ENVE that are more lighter and more faster. They also have a hooked bead, kind of. So we're going to dig into that too, because there is a tech story behind that. Also, I wanted to talk about Mathieu van der Poel's sponsorship deal with a private jet company, because some people were really mad about it. And I'm kind of mad that they're really mad. You know what I mean? So Alvin is joining us all the way from Australia. So I'm going to apologize in advance for his crappy internet connection. Alvin, van der Poel signed with a company called the Flying Group. It's a company that has
Interesting.
18 planes of various sizes. It's for people that can afford, yeah, they can afford to not
Yeah.
be packed into a metal tube with crying kids and strangers at 30,000 feet. What is your take on this? Because a lot of people were angry. They said things like, take the train, set an example, selling yourself just for the cash, no regard for future generations, and, quote, truly disappointing. So, Alvin, what is your take?
I mean, first things first, Vanderpool has been someone who, he's been like pretty unabashed about his like preferences. Like, bro drives a Lamborghini Urus. He's got $25,000 watch on his wrist regularly. That is absolutely not like doesn't work for cycling, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that's something that I don't know. I think there's some character there, and it's interesting, and it kind of spices up the peloton, right? Because everyone else is just like, I don't know, from like a, how do I explain this? I had a friend who was like kind of into cycling and was like trying to get into the tour last year, and he was just like, yeah, it's a bunch of like Euro dudes that I don't really relate to or whatever.
He's not
And
wrong.
yeah. And to be fair to the Vanderpool thing, like we can't relate to him too because he's at like the upper echelon of earnings, right? Like I don't know where he lives, but there are a number of like the top earners in the world tour living in like Monaco, right? Like
Yeah.
we just can't relate to that. Um,
No.
I am curious to hear. So I think ultimately, while I think it is good for Vanderpool to have a personality, I tend to agree with the folks out there that are like kind of pissed about the private jet sponsorship. But it's in the same way that I'm, like, pissed about Taylor Swift taking a private jet everywhere too. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I'm of two minds of this. Both of them probably disagree with you. On one hand, I think Vanderpool, he's been like ultra successful because he works so hard. People can't imagine how hard he works. And
Yeah.
flying for his specific career, his specific job, flying on a plane makes a lot of sense. Every time I get on a plane, I catch freaking Ebola from some crying kid behind me. It's like the worst. And we all know the harder you work on the bike, like you're training a lot, you're working hard, your immune system goes down. These guys are doing stuff to help that, but their immune systems, it's not like let's be honest, like they're so fast, so fit, so strong. But on the other hand, they're probably not healthy. I think that's fair to say, right? You know? So for him to get on a plane to go to races or to travel the world instead of getting sick and wasting time with us normal peasants, I think it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. And also, these people making those comments, the first thing I think when I see those comments is those people think their shit doesn't stink. Man, those people got cars. Those people are buying things wrapped in plastic. They're doing this, they're doing that. And none of that, of course, none of doing that stuff, it doesn't preclude being critical of somebody, but just like the whole air of virtuosity of like making comments like that, it just really irks me for some reason. I understand that we should all do better and we should all be better, et cetera, all the things. And are planes good for the planet? Obviously not. But is the sun gonna like micronova sometime in the next few hundred years and like the Earth's magnetic field is failing and it's gonna be a species-ending global event that we cannot prevent and we're being blinded by it by some other talk? Yeah, I kind of do believe that. We're gonna be shuffled back to a
Freaking
pre-industrial
hope not, man.
civilization soon. No, me too. I hope not. But like I think, dude, if I could buy a Lambo, I'm gonna buy a Lambo and I'm gonna do donuts in the parking lot. And if
Yeah,
I could fly in a private jet, I'm
yeah.
gonna fly in a private jet because I also know that like those big cargo ships going across the ocean and all the wars and all the things, like, you know, Vanderpool's not the problem, and neither is the flying company, the group that he signed with. That's my take.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a much bigger question of what is the problem, and is it and why it's corporations. Why it's
Yeah.
rampant corporations. I I don't know. I think the optics aren't great for this,
Mhm.
right? Like, I think that's a big thing. Like, I don't know, like, the ice caps are melting. Like, we're having heat waves across. I don't know if we're having them across all of North America, but we're certainly having them in the US, like, um yeah, I don't know, like, not ideal, and but at the same time, like, Vanderpool's not the first person, not the first pro cyclist to take a PJ places.
And my man, like all these
Yeah,
cycling journalists, we get not me anymore, but we get on planes. Like there was a year I was on, it was either 52 or 62 different planes
yeah,
in one
yeah,
year.
yeah,
I don't give a shit what Vanderpool is doing. He could drive his diesel powered tractor across Europe to get to his races for all I care, to be honest.
mhm.
It's I think there are much bigger fish to fry, and I just man, there's something about those hateful, like sort of spiteful comments that really irk me, like pulling somebody down a bit.
Yeah, I on the flying front, I mean, like, pooling resources together and being on a bigger plane is, like, less energy expended per person than it would be on a PJ. That being said, I also wanna note that I don't know, I haven't been the best at it this year, but I have been trying to, like, minimize my flying, like, for other reasons besides environmental. But, I mean, again, like, with Vanderpool, this isn't out of line for other things he's done, like
Yeah,
the Richard
yeah,
Mille, like, Mille, like, watch, and then hopefully I
yeah,
pronounced that right, like, and, like, all the other stuff, like, it makes Vanderpool kind of interesting, and
yeah.
I don't know. I don't love I will reiterate, I do not love the partnership here, but
Mhm.
he's already taken PJ's places, like,
Yeah,
there's no way he's not.
yeah. I'll add two things. If I saw Vanderpool drop one gel wrapper on purpose outside during a ride, I would literally never forgive him.
Mhm,
Like he would be dead to me. I pick
mhm,
up trash all the time on my rides.
mhm,
Like, what is
mhm,
wrong with you people? But I just think that it's easy to make assumptions, like, we don't know, maybe he's on that jet with 10 other people and a 787 or a giant Airbus, maybe that thing shits out 10 like, 200 times the exhaust relative to
mhm.
the amount of people that can go on the jet. I don't know anything, to be honest. I just I'm just defending my hero.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you, and then one other thing to note with cycling is that, like, you've heard of the UAE, right? Like,
I've heard
you've heard
yeah,
of,
I've
like,
heard of everything.
the injustices that
Oh,
country has
dude.
had and the sports
Yeah.
washing that comes with that, and we celebrate the biggest name in pro cycling, in men's pro cycling at least, like,
Yeah.
is getting is represents that whole country, like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
if
like
we have a problem with this, we have to have a problem with the other things, which, to be fair, I do. I
yep.
do have a problem with the other stuff, but, like, yeah, we can't just single out Vanderpool, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I do agree with that. Okay, let's move on. I wanna talk about something slightly less serious. I don't know, maybe is a $52,000 bike is just as egregious as getting on a PJ, I feel like, but Alvin, You wrote an absolutely amazing article. It's on the homepage right now. It's titled $8,000 versus $18,000. The Tour de France's least and most expensive bikes compared. So, the most expensive road bike in the Tour costs more than twice as much as the least expensive bike. We're not talking about time trial bikes right now. Uh, Using current pricing and spec sheets, you put together a breakdown of the most expensive and least expensive bikes. The most expensive is that Colnago Y1 RS, which isn't surprising. Speaking of UAE, $18,700, Alvin.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not specifically, that's not precise. Like it's pretty rough because they have so many extras, right? Like, um, but it is dramatically more expensive. And is it dramatically better? It probably, I don't doubt that the bike is like a little bit better, maybe, but is it twice the price good? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. What's the least expensive bike?
So it's the Cube Lightning. It's Cube, I believe, is a German brand. We don't really get them here in North America. There was a period where they were selling them in the US, but they've been super value oriented for the longest time. Um, and the Lightning's supposed to be their aero bike. Like it's ridden by Intermarché, like basically the entire season. Um, if you remember from Paris-Roubaix, where there's that photo that Shoddy Dave took of a 35 mil tire in the
Oh, yeah.
fork of a bike, and it's just like maxed out beyond belief. Like you can barely
You
put a
can't
bead
see
clinker in there.
light between the fork and the tire.
Yeah, yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
It was that bike is the Lightning. And I haven't ridden it, to be fair, like, but by all accounts, it's a pretty darn respectable bike. Like,
Yeah.
by all accounts, it's world tour worthy, right?
And it's $8,500 versus that Colnago at $18,000.
Yeah, yeah, and you're getting a Dura-Ace drivetrain. The Newman wheels don't cost as much as like the ENVE SES 45 Pros or whatever. Um, but they're nice wheels. The Newman wheels are pretty good. Like they
Yeah.
definitely put some time and effort into engineering them and that type of thing. And Newman does some weird stuff like they'll do, I don't know, like they have their own things. Like they have like this hidden valve. So like when you're riding along and you look at it from the outside, there's no obvious Presta valve because there's an
Oh.
adapter that you have to put on. And there's a couple of reasons. They say it's like an aero thing, which maybe like there's a slight benefit. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a slight weight thing too, like to keep the wheel more balanced.
Hmm.
Um, but you got carbon spokes, the rims are pretty light, modern dimensions. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Big difference in frame set pricing. Again, if you're listening to this, you can go to the Velo homepage, and Alvin has broken all this down in fancy spreadsheets. Uh, Frame price differences. The Colnago frame set, $7,900 versus the Cube frame set, which is $3,400.
Yeah.
We both know somebody who is riding that Colnago right now, and I think he absolutely loves it. Would happily pay $7,900 for it. But that's a big price difference right there. Uh, can you tell me about the time trial bikes, Alvin? Because that's where things get absolutely wild.
Yeah, you got to realize like all of these bikes are so, I mean, like if we've talked about marginal gains, and I think the average person hates hearing the phrase marginal gains because it means, oh, it's just more money I have to spend like to keep my bike up to snuff, right? Like, and if everyone's doing the marginal gains, they're no longer gains. They're just like the standard, right? So
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why I think pricing has gone up on these bikes. But um, if you're looking for like the very latest or the future in marginal gains, you got to look at these time trial bikes. And last year we did like a quick price out of like Pogi's Colnago TT bike,
Hmm.
um, and it was somewhat inexpensive compared to what else was going on. It was like 25K or something like that, which we're
Pocket
probably,
change.
yeah, exactly. Um, and it could be more, but like a lot of that money goes into like like custom skis that they put for like the armrests and that type of thing, just above the base bars. Um, and but like poking around, looking at the other bikes that everyone's riding, it's the Pinarello Bolide TT. Like that's the that is so it's such an expensive bike. You like look around and the base frame set I think is like 10K. But like you want to add like the custom like bars on it, like the custom aero
Yeah.
bars, and it shoots up to like 30K.
Fuck. Okay, so you had the complete bike with Princeton Carbon Works wheels, which I mean, you might as well, right? It adds
Yeah.
up to $52,000, which would get me a nice used Porsche.
It would get you a really nice like previous generation 911 for sure.
Yeah, crazy to see numbers like that, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the fun thing for me is like they're riding this in the Tour de France for like 2 stages, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that's most interesting. Like that cube is ridden every other stage outside of the TT stages. That Colnago Y1RS is not going to be ridden on every stage, for example. Like
No.
it's just not. Like the just talking with Will and Shoddy, like those bikes are considerably like there is like a shocking difference in weight between the V5 RS and the Y1 RS. It's something like 600 grams,
Oh
uh,
wow.
which is over a
Yeah.
pound, right? So
Yeah.
like so seems like they're going to be using the V5. The I do want to mention really quick like the like I priced out all the bikes basically, or like did a basic price out of all the bikes, and the average price wasn't as much as I thought it would be. It was like $13,000 for
Oh,
these top tier bikes,
that's
road
less than
bikes.
I would have guessed by
Mhm,
far.
mhm, mhm.
And
Yeah,
that's retail pricing and everything. Yeah.
yeah. So it doesn't include a lot of this doesn't include like if they're doing like one-off bottom brackets, for example, or they're doing one-off bearings. Like Lytle Trek does, like they have tri-peak ceramic bearings in their bikes, for example. That's going to cost more
Yeah.
money, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, like the Canyon Aeroad CFR built up for the tour is like $11,000, for example. Uh, the Trek Madone SLR again, like on the more expensive side of things, just under 15K, which is pretty expensive. Uh, like I estimated the cost of the ENVE Melees that Total Energies is riding, like it's about 13K, which
Okay.
a ton of money. All of this is
Yeah.
a ton of money. We have to caveat, but these are bikes ridden by like the absolute pros, right? Like you take an F1 car, that's millions of dollars right there
Yeah.
in
It's
comparison.
yeah, we're not trying to say that this isn't a metric shit ton of money. Like $13,000 is life-changing money for me. You know?
Yeah,
That's a lot of
yeah,
money. And
yeah.
I probably wouldn't buy a road bike without money. But it is also like a bit less than I would have expected.
Mhm.
One number that is a heck of a lot more than I would have expected. So you did the math here. 8 riders per team, 3 bikes per rider, plus time trial bikes, average dollar amount in bikes per team at the Tour de France, $317,000 and well, 317 and $787 American altogether, which
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but it's also less than Vanderpool's uh, Lamborghini Urus, almost assuredly.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet the Lambo is way more fun though. It makes way better noises.
It makes, yeah, I mean, depends on who you ask. A lot of
Yeah,
people
that's true.
really like the free hub sounds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I actually did a little bit more math. Our colleague Jim Cotton has a really cool story on like, here's how much stuff everybody's bringing to the tour. Um, and I was curious just for myself, like how much does all of that cost roughly? In between like nutrition and spare parts and that and just the stuff that they're bringing along with them is like $1 million per team of gear, essentially.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
you
We'll link it
you
down
could
below.
yeah, yeah, you could see why thieves and bad people might target these team trucks and like hotel banquet rooms where the teams are storing all these bikes. Like we've seen all those
Yeah.
Kofidis bikes. I think they recovered them all recently.
Dude, they
Um,
found it on, like, a Russian, like, buy-sell page. Like,
oh, really?
are you serious?
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. They found the bikes, and it was just like, oh, they even were saying, like, the bikes were, like, professionally ridden or something like that. It's like, dude,
Well,
I wish,
at
like,
least they
the
didn't
bikes that I
lie
had
in the
stolen were
ad.
easier to find. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's good that
It-
they
at least
were
they're
telling the
honest
truth there.
sellers, right?
Yeah. Don't talk about how they got it, but they
Yeah,
are honest
yeah,
sellers.
yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, anyways, those are some big numbers. 52K for the time trial bike, over $300,000 on average. The teams having just team bikes, spare bikes,
Mhm.
etc.
Mhm.
And again, if you're listening, go to the homepage, look it up because there's all sorts of crazy numbers in there. Alvin, 2 new bikes as well. Let's talk about
Yeah.
those 2 new Cervelos. The guys in the yellow and black, we're supposed to, it's not, for some reason, am I not supposed to say Jumbo Visma anymore? Now I say Lease bike. Am
Yeah.
I?
Yeah,
Now it's
Visma
just
lease a
Lease
bike.
bike. Okay, Visma Lease bike. They got the
Yeah.
R5, new R5. It's an even more lighter climbing bike. And the new S5 is an even more aero bike. There's a video on the Velo homepage with Shoddy Dave Everett, where he's looking at both these bikes nice and close. Alvin, can you tell me about them though?
Yeah, I should also plug really quick, our colleague Josh got a review done for the S5, like, he had the bike ahead of time,
Yeah.
and he really likes it. Okay, so first things first, S5. We've been seeing this leaked for the last few months, I believe. Like, we first saw it at the Dauphiné, um, yeah, and it looked awfully similar, but there are a couple key differences. So, for example, Cervelo is, like, one of the few companies to effectively take, uh, like they took what should be a one-piece bar, I guess, just as far as simplicity is concerned, and they made it a two-piece bar by, like, adding an angle adjust, which I love that for them, bless their heart, but it left something on the table, right? So they could cut some weight, add some stiffness to the front end of the bike. So now it's one-piece bar. They are claiming something like 124 grams lighter. It's 6 watts faster, which Cervelo doesn't usually like to say at what speed or anything like that. I would guess it's going to be a 50K an hour, which is about 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, they said 30 miles an hour,
Okay,
which
there you
is,
go. Good.
that's your average rolling speed, isn't it, Alvin? You just cruising along at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my sprint, the peak of my sprint is at 30 miles an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah. You know what this reminded me of? It's like when a company is selling a new supercar, they'll say like, "Oh, it has X downforce at 180 miles an hour." And I'm just like, "What the hell does that do for me?" Like
Yeah.
I need to know the downforce it has at 60 miles an hour on the highway. Excuse me, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's because there's no difference at
Yeah.
normal speeds.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
make no difference. I
Yeah.
had a I had an engineer from a company tell me that you usually start to feel the difference in how aero a bike is at about like the 7 to 10 watt range.
Okay.
So perhaps if you were to ride the S5 and put up against the previous S5, all other things held equal, maybe you start to feel a difference here.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm
so
talking shit here. Like obviously this bike is made for someone who is going to be going faster than I'm going to go, whether that's in a group or by themselves. And, this
yeah,
bike is not for me tootling along on Stanley Park bike path.
yeah, yeah. So the other thing here is that I mean, this isn't necessarily a bike for any one of us. Like the previous generation S5, like I hadn't had enough time to do like a full review on it, but I have ridden it, and it's the kind of bike that like starts to feel really good when you're just pushing yourself to the limit and you're
Hmm.
going, I don't know, 35, 40K an hour, which is that 22 to 28 miles an hour, and you're just like pushing.
Hmm.
Like it
Hmm.
starts to I had a friend call it like it feels like a freight train at that point. Like it starts going. But the trouble is that like lower down for me, where I care about feel, because I'm not the fastest person, like it feels kind of boring and
Yeah.
dead and not
Yep.
especially like lively. Whereas the S5 or the R5 like feels a lot like brighter and a lot more fun, I guess, if you're like a normal cyclist, partially because it's so much lighter, right?
Hmm.
Like, yeah. So we had weighed Matteo Jorgensen's bike, and it came in at like right at 6.8 with pedals
Right on the
on that
dot.
bike,
Who would
which
have
is
thought?
pretty sick. Yeah, with
Yeah.
a computer and pedals, computer pedals, empty bottle cages. It's pretty good.
And that's an all new frame. So what is different about the frame with this new R5?
Yeah, so we haven't had like full confirmation with from Cervelo just because there's a yeah, we just haven't had full confirmation. Big things, it adopts the through bolts of the like that the Cervelo Osprey 5 has. Um,
Yep.
like so it goes straight through the fork blade as opposed to there being an adapter.
Yep.
You get a one-piece handlebar, which Cervelo has been generally adverse to doing. They've been doing two-piece situations for a long time. Um, yeah, and you're just getting weight cut all over the place because the previous generation S5 wasn't particularly heavy by any means,
Yeah.
but this one seems lighter. And I would be willing to guess that this frame is probably under 700 grams painted is my guess, which I know,
Alvin,
right? Like,
uh, I think the biggest news here, though, we got two brand new bikes, but one of the most interesting pieces of information from Dave's video is that the guy from Cervelo said that the fit is identical between the R5 and the S5, meaning that these riders can swap between bikes without it feeling weird, which was a specific request from the Lease bike team riders, just to, make them way more comfortable. We don't usually see
yeah,
that. And especially at a time when like a lot of companies are, they're doing their aero bikes are also climbing bikes. Like things are kind
hmm
of merging in a way.
hmm
We've got Cervelo who are completely going the opposite direction. They got the speed bike and they got the climbing bike, but the fit is the
yeah,
same, which is a pretty interesting thing.
yeah. I mean, I think one of the benefits of like specialized just going all in on the trek and not having or not all in on the tarmac and not having a venge, or same with the Madone and the Manda of trek, wherever, is that you just know what you're gonna get every time you're out on the bike, right? Like, and
Yeah.
Visma, like to their credit, they do switch bikes regularly. Like, you don't see like I don't know, like you see with Alpecin, like, they ride the Canyon Air Road basically all the time, or
Yep.
Movistar. Like, you see them on the Air Road all the time, you hardly ever see them on the Ultimate, their lightweight bike. Um, so, cool to see. I think that makes a lot of sense. I will say, like, Cervelo, I really appreciate their geometry. Like, they tend to have a slightly lower bottom bracket than the other companies, which if you are going with a shorter crank, like, again, marginal stuff, but your saddle's going up a little bit, your center of gravity is going up a little bit, so a lower bottom bracket helps to counteract that, and it gives you a little bit more stability straight line too. And Cervelo's always done a pretty good job of that, and so
Yeah.
it's cool to see that they're doing 2 new bikes.
It does just before we move on, it's interesting that you say that, Alvin, because those guys are running very short cranks. Like,
Mhm,
Jonas is a
mhm,
160 and Matteo is on 165s, and he's like 8
yeah,
feet tall. So
yeah,
that's an interesting point, and I wouldn't be surprised if the 2 are related.
mhm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing that in the next little bit. I would hope so, that bottom brackets get lower as a result of
Yeah.
shorter cranks.
God, I
Um
hope so.
Hopefully it happens on gravel bikes, but that's beside the point, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Alvin, there were also some new reserve wheels that you're gonna tell me about.
yeah. So, 5764s, they're on the new Cervelo S5. These ones have alloy spokes. They skirt just under the newly updated UCI like maximum wheel depth requirements. Um, it's almost like they had a feeling that this was coming. You know? Like,
Almost. Yeah.
which I do wanna say just as an aside, like, Will measured that Super Aero Factor bike, with a super wide fork. He measured it at Eurobike, and it was 114 millimeters, like
Oh,
inside to inside. Yeah.
okay.
So skirt's just under that 115 by a millimeter.
Yeah, perfect,
It's pretty
perfect.
sick. Um, what are we talking about? Sorry.
We're talking about those new reserve wheels. They also had
Yes.
some with carbon spokes as well.
Yes, they did. I think carbon spokes, like I'm not the biggest fan of carbon spokes myself. I like how they ride. From like a livability and long-term longevity perspective, I have some questions about it still, and just repairability in general. But we're gonna start seeing more carbon spokes in the pro peloton, and it makes sense that Reserve is doing it too. Um, because as we saw from the new Revolve wheels, like that's where most of the weight is getting cut. It's getting cut from like a shorter, shallower rear wheel, but it's mostly from the spokes, right?
Alvin, I'm just looking over at my bike storage wall, and the bikes are all on hooks. They're right up against each other. There's only 4 bikes up there between my girlfriend and I, but every single pedal is through every single wheel, like through the spokes,
Yeah.
which as a mountain biker, the idea of carbon spokes I find kind of scary, and my obviously my concern is just reliability. And it's like you pick your bike up and you're with your buddy and
Mhm.
you lean your bike on, over, and like it kind of slides and his spoke or his pedal goes into the spokes, and now you've got a big gouge in this carbon spoke that's under a whole bunch of tension. And like, I don't know, am I being too nervous and closed-minded about this? But carbon spokes are scary.
I've talked with some mechanics about this. And I've replaced my own carbon spokes in the past, just like I would like had a crash, replace a carbon spoke. The wheel happened to come with it was like a hunt wheel. It had an extra
Mhm.
carbon spoke. Um, it's not as scary as I think it seems. Um, I remember I don't quote me on this, but I remember like the tension that was needed to get that spoke up to par with everything else was higher, and it's a little bit harder to measure the tension of the spoke. Because I remember I just couldn't do it reliably with my park tensiometer, so I just borrowed a
Mhm.
friend's. I forgot, it was a PB Swiss or something like that, and that happened to work. Um, I have some worries because carbon inherently, like, we just don't like, it'll take a beating and take a beating and take a beating until it can't anymore. Whereas, like, you can see a steel spoke kind of, like, have a problem, and you can replace it
Yeah.
relatively quickly, right? That being said, on the mountain bike, like, Revol, again, like, on their mountain bike side, they have their control wheels on the XC side of things, and those are, like, 1,000 gra that's like a 1,000-gram wheel set with carbon spokes, for
That's
XC.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
pretty nuts.
Wide too. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I I think my worry is, like, repairability for the average person, because it's gonna be a little bit harder to get these proprietary spokes because even
Yep.
though most of these bikes have, like, steel bladed straight pull spokes, like, it is easier to get a spoke from your average bike shop than it is to get a dedicated carbon spoke.
Yeah.
Um, but they sure do ride pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other thing. So I wouldn't blame
Yeah.
anyone for going for it. And I definitely do like my wheels with carbon spokes, for the most part. But if I were building up my own bike, I think the slight retro grouch in me has some worry, and I'd probably want to go steel.
Yeah. For me, I think I know me reasonably
Yeah.
well, and I think that I'm a bit, careless maybe, or not
Uh-huh.
heavy-handed, like, but I just think, honestly, I'm a bit too careless to be rocking carbon spokes on any of my stuff right now
Mhm.
anyway. If I was
Yeah.
gonna go and buy a set of wheels, actually, I did just buy a set of light bicycle turbo wheels for my road bike, which
Uh-huh.
are I just put them on. They look amazing. Purple nipples to go with my purple
Nice.
giant Propel. Um,
Nice. Did you
and
go
I
purple
I had
hubs?
the no, black DT
Purple hubs.
hubs. Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
All right.
I know.
Yeah. I
But I had the option of carbon spokes, and I thought about it for about 3 seconds and realized I know who I am and said, "No way."
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, the
yeah.
next time you're down here, I have at least one wheel set you can borrow and see what
I
that's like. Because
I'm
it
on my
is
way.
pretty darn good. Like, they feel pretty responsive. So,
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Alvin, there was also some new aero helmets. There's a new Giro aero helmet, worn by the Lease bike boys. Tell me about it.
yeah. Yeah, so there are other helmets out there, to be fair. Like, we've seen Cycling Spy on Instagram caught, bless their heart, like, they caught Sweet Protection had a new helmet and Ikoi had a new helmet. Um, we don't have any information on those. We've reached out, haven't heard anything back. The Giro helmet we have heard about, though. So it's called the Eclipse Pro. It's an evolution of the existing Eclipse helmet, which itself kind of is a variation of the Helios helmet, like their kind of mid-range spherical helmet. It's about $250 US. Um, this one's supposed to be lighter, supposed to be a heck of a lot more aero. They say like 17% faster than the existing Eclipse helmet, which kind of frustrates me. I want like pure numbers,
Mhm.
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's cool. It's good to see Giro back and doing stuff. And um, my one of my favorite helmets is my Aether helmet,
Oh, yeah.
which is also
Yeah.
spherical. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah, I grew up wearing Giro helmets, like, I mean, I probably wore different Giro helmets nonstop for 25 years, to be honest.
yeah.
And just now I have a Scott Centric Plus,
Uh,
maybe? And it's nice, it's light, whatever.
yeah.
But it'd be cool to see some new Giro stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have it whenever it comes out, which they tell us spring of next year. So
okay.
it's gonna be a little bit. Um, Yeah, but it looks like kind of just this like machination of a bunch of aero helmets out there. Like it looks like from the side, it looks like the classic Geo helmets with the spherical nature that have it's
Yep.
basically the two sets of foam instead of having like the MIPS liner, the plastic
Mhm.
liner or something like that. It's two bits of foam, which I think is cool, because it those helmets ventilate like wonderfully compared to a lot of other MIPS helmets. Um, Up front, it kind of looks like a specialized S-Works Evade helmet, which
Yes,
has
it
kind of
does.
been known as being like one of the fastest like aero road helmets out there. And then the back, it's got like it kind of tapers a little bit and then it cuts off pretty abruptly, like Pox, Seidel and Seidel carbon
Yeah,
um, helmets, which have also like, I believe in Josh's testing were pretty quick too. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. All sorts of stuff we're gonna see down the road. There was a quote in that article on the Velo homepage about this new Giro helmet, and it's about the UCI's prototype rule, which I was not aware about. It says consumer release for the helmet is in spring 2026, more than half a year after its pro debut. That timeline aligns with UCI prototype rules, which allow brands to race unlaunched products as long as they meet safety standards and are eventually offered for sale. I was not aware of this rule,
Mhm.
but I like the sounds of that. So basically the teams are allowed to use it, but they have to sell it.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the big thing. Yeah. I mean, it's a you see it with most other things, right? Like when you see like Israel Premier Tech on that factor, like okay, that bike is coming because it
Yeah.
has to be homologated and it needs to be like available for sale. Even if it's not like actually for sale, it has to be up on the website,
Like
basically.
the Bolide
Yeah.
TT
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
bike. It doesn't
exactly.
actually
Yeah, yeah.
exist. Like, who's
Yeah,
buying that?
exactly. Yeah, there are things here or there, which I can't think of off the top of my head, but there are definitely instances over the last few years of teams having bikes or having
Yep.
components, and they eventually show up, but they don't actually show up?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, one of the last tech things I wanna talk about, it's ENVE's new SES 4.5 Pro wheel set. This is on top of the normal 4.5 wheel set. So these are, new wheels made in Ogden in the United States. It's a 49 55 millimeter depth. They weigh just under 1,300 grams, so 1,295 grams, which is lighter. The non-pro weighs 1,450. So these
Mhm.
are a bit narrower, a bit lighter. But the big thing here is that Envy has for a long time talked about the benefits of hookless rims, which is a controversial subject always. But this seems to have a bit of a hook on the rim. So Josh wrote a great article. Josh Ross wrote a great article explaining the whys and hows. But can you break it down for me? Can you tell me why these things have a hook, sort of?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit more skeptical of this than I think Josh is, because I think that it's just there because Tadej Pogacar, like, asked for it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He wanted to be able to run a 28 mil wide tire and make sure that's UCI legal.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
that's my guess because these rims are ever so slightly narrower. I think it's like a 24.5 mil
It's a
internal rim width, or is it 23.5?
23.5
There you go.
internal versus the non-pros are 25 mil. So
25.
they're
Yeah.
a bit narrower, mil and a half.
Yeah. Envy's been, I mean, they've been on the, like, hookless train for the longest time. Like, if you drink their Kool-Aid, like, which I respect, I've been to their, like, HQ several times. They're great people. They make good stuff. Um, I've always been a little bit skeptical of them pushing forward with hookless.
Mhm.
And they've done everything to make it, like, work well, right, on their end. Um, to me, this is just like the UAE PAL guys wanted. They wanted to be able to run a 28 mil wide tire. They wanted to be able to run a 28 mil Conti GP5000 TT tire, is my guess, because it's lighter.
Mhm.
Um, so that's my kind of, I don't know. I know that there's more to it than that, but that's what I see from that's kind of what I am thinking. What do
I'm
you think?
I'm just gonna say what Envy says because we should say what Envy says.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna say what Josh says in Josh's
Mhm.
article. So basically, years ago, Josh says the rim side walls were getting a bit narrow. People were cutting some
Mhm.
tires. That
Mhm.
was an issue. Uh, so you just add a bit of carbon. You basically make those rim sidewalls a little bit thicker. The edge becomes blunter, of course. It's not
Yeah.
gonna cut your tire. It's much safer when your rim doesn't cut your tire, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that added some weight. So basically, what the deal is here is they wanted a lighter set of wheels, so that Envy went back in and sculpted out the carbon from the inside of the vertical rim walls. And
Yeah.
what is left over is a hook. Who knew?
Who'd have thought? Yeah, who'd have thought?
Yeah. Regardless of anything, it does make for a lighter wheel set. That lower weight comes from the hubs, new hubs as well too, but
Yeah.
also from material removed from the rim. And again, 28 mil tires is like I think the real benefit for the team, of course.
Mhm.
Um, they're also made differently. So these rims are still made in Ogden, but whereas the non-pro 4.5s are made using a bladder, these are made using metal forms, which
Yeah.
Envy says requires a bit more little touch-up work after, but I guess makes for a nicer finished product. Um, yeah, I don't know, lighter, faster, all the things.
To be fair, they look freaking sick. Like 1,300 grams for that depth with alloy spokes, which I should mention, I love the silver spokes on there.
Yeah.
Uh, I love that. I think that just like visually and aesthetically, I think that's so sick. Um, these wheels look rad.
Yeah. As
And I'll
Envy
say
wheels
that they look
always
rad.
do. They look so pro, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they look really freaking good, and I'm sure they ride pretty darn well too. For me, and I suspect for most people, I don't think that most people should be riding on 28 mil tires anymore unless they live in Switzerland and their roads are
Yeah.
perfect. So the 4.5s, if you want to be in the Envy family, like the 4.5s, I've had great experiences on my own sets of 4.5s in the past. Good wheels, and I would hope that the you can get that silver hub option on the standard 4.5 rim in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, because it does look good. They are, since you asked about price just now, they
Yeah.
are $3,750 American. So
Dude,
they're not in
how much
they're
does your
not
new set of
inexpensive.
how much does your set of light bicycle rims cost?
Complete wheel set with DT hubs of some kind. I don't think I got ceramic bearings. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring
Yeah,
myself
yeah,
to
I don't
do it.
blame you. Yeah, yeah.
But I got some nice DT hubs. I want it with purple nipples, bladed CX ray spokes. I think they were $2,000 Canadian, which is about $300 American. They weigh just over 1,200 grams. I think they're a 25 mil internal. I want to say. I don't remember. And they
Did you
have
say
like
$300 Canadian? Is it
uh,
1,300 Canadian?
they're
That's a heck of a
2,000.
deal if so.
No, they're $2,000 Canadian,
Yeah.
which works out to about $300 American, I think. So they're a pretty good
What?
deal.
Hang on.
No, not
Okay.
actually. I'm just joking with you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm
But
like,
the
dude, I am working my like, I'm gonna fly and rack up more carbon emissions and
yeah,
be Mathieu van der Poel and
yeah,
go get some $300 carbon wheels with purple nips.
yeah. So I bought these things and they look great. And we talk about a lot of expensive stuff when we're
Yeah,
talking about bikes.
yeah.
Like this, I mean, this podcast, we're talking about $50,000 time trial bikes. What the heck? We're talking about wheel sets that cost $3,700. Um, two, 2000 Canadian isn't a small amount of money,
Yeah.
you know? I get a
No,
belly
it's
ache
not.
thinking about spending that amount of money on wheels. I think it's crazy. But
It's not the
there
last
are
time you're
also
gonna do it, to be fair.
no, definitely not. I I have another set coming for my new gravel bike, but that's a different conversation.
Raise the roof, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to putting a lot of miles on these wheels. I will talk about them at some point, and I think they're gonna do really well. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. There we are kind of in, like, a little bit of a I won't call it, like, a renaissance of, like, good, nice carbon wheels, but, like, we are spoiled for choice right now. Like, there are
Yeah,
legitimate options, even outside of, like, the Envies. Like, the Envy makes good stuff. Like, I'll
yeah,
never say that they don't. But you could also spend a third of that. Light bicycle
yeah,
is a great option. There are other ones out there too. Like,
yeah.
it's hard to
Dude,
say no.
if I was flying on a PJ all the time, yeah, I'd probably have a whole bunch of Envy wheels, you know? Could be pocket change, but unfortunately, that's not my life. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm excited. They're on my mid-range giant Propel with a Force axis group, and the bike is absolutely amazing. It's like a
Yeah.
mid-range everything, and it's fast as fuck and comfortable. It's great.
Sick. Are you riding it more? Because you've been team gravel for the longest time.
Well, I just finished an absolutely ridiculous gravel, uh, bike packing race, quote unquote, kind of
Uh-huh.
thing that I had been working up to for a long time. And now that I have completely destroyed myself and my taint doing that, I am
Yeah.
going to spend some time on that giant that I have, just going fast and being smooth on the road. I'm so
Rad.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the race remind me, because I haven't been able to listen to all of it. It was the race that you were talking about with, Rob Britton, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's called the BC Epic 1000. I hate talking about shit that I've done, but I'm gonna
I
talk
wanna
about it.
hear about it, man. You
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure
So
everyone
it's
else listening to this wants to hear about it too.
it's called the BC Epic 1000. It's 1,060-kilometer bikepacking race. It goes across BC-ish. It's like from Merritt to Fernie, and it's like, I don't know, 90% off-road. It's not just like fast gravel. A lot of it is so loose and chunky and difficult and like it's, it's not fast stuff. It's
Yeah.
patience and trucking along, fully loaded. We did bivvy one time. I slept at like an
Oh,
idiot. I slept at like 5,000 feet in my bivvy bag. We should have descended down the mountain. But we
no.
finished.
Yeah.
So I tried it last year and I had some crazy belly problems because I'm a crazy person and I probably made myself like I probably worked myself up so bad that my belly went bad.
Yeah.
And I had to abandon around like the 300-kilometer mark, and my long-suffering girlfriend Sarah had to drive 10 hours to come pick me up. Shout out all those loving
Yeah,
girlfriends out
amazing.
there that help us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this year, my main goal was just to finish the thing, and I rode with my buddy Derek, who I've known since. I mean, I've known Derek since I was like, you know, 15, 16, 17 years old. I'm 45 now, so we've known each other for a long time. This year, it was his turn to get some belly issues, unfortunately. He is much tougher than me, and we ended up just taking some breaks and recovering, and we ended up getting through it, and I thank the Lord for that because I really didn't wanna ride at night alone in the backwoods of BC.
So,
There was some
okay.
grizzly warnings as well.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
yeah.
wonder. Okay, so by the numbers,
Mhm.
what was the distance climbing and total time?
Oh, it was, uh, I wanna say it was 34,000 feet of climbing, and it
Holy
was
cats.
1,060 kilometers. And like I said, a lot of it is slow going. It was 55 hours and something moving time, and I burnt, according to Strava anyway, I burnt over 31,000 calories. Oof.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of
Yeah.
monster.
It w You know what's funny? So it was like 38 Celsius, which is like,
Yeah.
I don't know, 100 and something
That's like
for you guys. Like,
100. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like hot as balls. It is
Yeah.
so hard to eat and drink when you're like the road is so rough and it's so hot out. You'd think you'd be able to just drink and drink and drink, but I think like the rough road bouncing me around like this all the time, I found it extremely hard to eat. We pulled into Penticton, which is like 250 kilometers in. We had been eating enough barely. Rolled into, I mean, you want to eat regular food and you want it fast. So we rolled into A&W.
Yeah.
I got my, veggie masala burger, which is absolutely delicious. I usually eat 2 of them in one sitting. Derek got a whatever, a teen burger and whatever. We got some churros, we sit down, we're both just stare at our food for 20 minutes. Can't eat it. Can't put it in. And we only have 800 more kilometers to go. We can't eat.
Ugh. You know, that's not the first time I've ever had that. Like, I haven't done anything quite as crazy as you. 1,000 did you say 1,000 miles or 1,000 kilometers and
No,
31,000
kilometers.
feet?
Like, it's,
Okay, alright, that's
650 miles or something.
okay, yeah, 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 okay. So, the longest I've done is about 500K, like, nonstop,
That's
and there was
far.
one period I had about 50 miles left to go, um, and I remember just similar to you, like, thinking, "Oh, I need to eat real food," and so I bought, like, a chicken sandwich, and I'm just staring at it, wondering why I don't wanna eat it because I feel hungry,
Yeah.
and just like, "I can't bring myself to do this." And then I also had, like, carb mix, that didn't help either, like,
Nope.
that doesn't work,
Bad
like,
news.
even the best carb mixes, like, will mess you up over time, like, and you just won't be hungry for it, you know? Um, dude, okay, this was not on the script, but I'm gonna go
Perfect.
interviewer mode.
Yeah.
Tech-wise, so
Mhm.
you're on your sticky.
Yep.
Was there anything that you were glad that you had? And then was there anything that you wish you had switched out?
Yeah, I wish I was on a frickin' mountain bike, to tell you the
Okay.
truth. It
Yeah.
it was really rough. It's really rough and it's really loose. And so I'll describe my setup. It's a large Santa Cruz Stigmata that has been one of the best bikes I've ever owned in my life. It's, we should do a bike check at some point. I should do a bike check at some
Yeah,
point.
1,000,000%.
It's, one by, which is also not ideal. It has a set of Hunt wide wheels on it, and I got those new Specialized, Tracer and something or other tires. I've got a Fox.
Cara?
Uh,
Maybe?
yeah, that one. That one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
50s front and back. Um, I've got a Fox 32 taper cast fork. I had to go down to a 36 tooth chainring. Like,
Oh,
man, you don't even know, like, at what point we're climbing up Grey Creek Pass. It's 38 Celsius. We're climbing up Grey Creek Pass. I am like, my bike weighs, like, 60 pounds or something. Like, I've got a I like nice things. I got a full tail fin setup. I splurged on a nice tail fin setup, and then I
Yeah.
just packed it full of too much shit, and and also too much clothing because I'm always cold. I have to wear like 2 more layers than most people.
Yeah.
So the bike is quite heavy and the ground is quite soft. And in hindsight, I wish I was on a mountain bike with 2.1-inch or bigger tires,
Yeah.
2.2, 2.3.
Yeah.
Um, I did. I have to admit to you and everybody listening that I put aero bars on my gravel bike. And
No, nothing wrong with
yeah,
admitting it, brother.
yeah, that's the first step to help.
Yeah, I wish I
um,
had done it. Like, that's one thing I regularly wish I had done. Whenever I had done those ultras, I wish I had the aero bars too. Just for the other
mandatory.
position, like
Yep,
you can just put your hands on the pads or whatever and not even use the
yep.
extensions or the skis. Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I bought the stem mounted aero bar setup, and then but they're not high enough. So I 3D printed a 50 millimeter tall riser for the aero bars, and then another 40 millimeter tall spacers for the arm pads. So
That's what I'm
like
talking
I'm
about.
in these, yeah, I'm in these aero bars, just like I could fall asleep in them, and they're so comfortable. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I almost did.
Yeah. Well, when you rode
Anyways,
for, what is it, 35 hours or something like that? Yeah.
55.
Yeah. 55. Okay, there you go. All
Yeah.
right.
It best ride of my life. I will
Rad.
have to say that. It was incredible to push yourself like that and to do it with a buddy and to like we had good vibes the entire time. And when you ride with somebody so much like that, like you almost like you don't have to talk. Like you could communicate telepathically
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
stuff. It's when you're watching out for each other, like I'm not drinking enough. He's yelling at me. Like drink your bottle, you idiot, and vice versa. It's yeah, I have to say it was the best ride of my life, 100%.
Rad. Okay. Well, we definitely need to spend more time on it then, because people want to hear about you, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, I don't like
Unfortunately, people.
yeah. I don't like talking about it beforehand because 'cause I'm never sure if I'm gonna finish it, and I don't like to be a I don't wanna come back and say I didn't finish, so I didn't wanna talk
Uh,
about it beforehand, do you know what I mean?
well, I have regularly said it's okay to quit because I have quit on races where I was just like mentally not there. Did I tell
That's
you
one
about
way to look at
this?
it.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Did I tell
Tell
you
me,
about this? Okay.
tell
And
me.
then we'll cut it, I guess. Uh, it was 2 years ago at this point. There's a race in Texas called East Texas Showdown. It's one of my favorite events I've ever done. It's a race, but it's not really a race, right? Like, um, I was trying to do the 300 mile, which is about 500K, something like
Mhm.
that, like the mid-range one. I'd done it in the past. Um, yeah, I'd done it in the past. I did well enough to place third somehow. Like that's the
Oh, fuck
I've
yeah,
never.
dude.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was pretty cool. A lot less rugged than yours, right? So smooth dirt roads. But we did have a lot of mud that year that I
Mm.
did well, and then this year we had a ton of mud too. So I like was looking at like my normalized power, and I was at like 3.5 watts per kilo for 7 hours, and I was just like,
That's pretty
dude,
good.
I didn't even know like I had that. Like I didn't even know I could do that. Like,
Yeah.
um, and I will say I can't do that at the moment right now for that long. But uh, uh, anyways, so um, I was having a tough time throughout this, and it got dark. We're just trying to get to the mile 140 point, which is about halfway, and it's a 24-hour gas station slash like convenience store. And it's the last
Mhm.
one. After that's the last one for like 50 or 60 miles or something like that. Unless
Oh,
you get lucky and
stock
hit
up.
like the 4 a.m. donut shop. Yeah. So you gotta stock up. Um, as I'm going down, where I'm like trying to motivate everyone around me, like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do well, da da da. Uh I catch myself, like, turning, like, on this downhill sweeper on the left side of the road, turning left, and in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, I should probably get to the right side of the road." And then I also think, if I get hit by a car right now, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then at that point, I, like, freak out. I'm like, "Oh, I just gotta get there, and then I'm gonna reassess and see what happens." Um,
Yeah.
and so me and my friend, the friends I was with, who are extremely great motivators, like I can't say enough good things about those folks. You know who you are. Like we ended up sleeping in a post office because they're open 24 hours in Texas. Like
Good
slept,
hack. Yep.
like yeah, exactly. So we did that. We woke up at like 3 a.m. And I get back on the bike and I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, I'm just thinking about that thought that I had earlier. And
Yep.
that's the moment where I was just like, it's okay to quit because I am not in the right mental space for this. I'm glad that you're able to push through though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't last year, and
Yeah.
honestly, like, I remember being with Derek, we were leaving Penticton, and we were climbing up to Chute Lake. It's not a difficult climb. It's like rail grade. It just goes on forever and ever and ever. And I remember
Yeah.
looking down at my power meter and like seeing 50 watts, and I hadn't been able to eat anything for, 6 hours. Like my
Yeah.
belly was screwed, and I'm essentially bonked. And
Yeah.
I mean, everybody that's listening, a lot of you know what a bonk is, and you've felt a bonk, and you'll know that it's more than physical. It's it's mental destruction is how I've described a bonk. It's like I'll admit, like I was in tears, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like, it wasn't for any reason. Like if we were trying to do a normal big ride and I had to turn around, I wouldn't have been like that. But you're so empty, like your soul is gone.
Mhm.
It's so difficult to explain. There was no way. And I had to stop, and I had to call my girlfriend, and like, I mean, in a way, stopping, deciding, letting Derek go on and calling her to come pick me up was more difficult for me than finishing this year's race, even though it was literally the only option. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. And like in hindsight, that was 100% the right thing to do. But in the moment, it's such like a disappointing, I find it very difficult to deal with that. I wish I was more okay with it, to be honest. Because you have to be with
Yeah.
those things. These things don't work out. It's too complicated. You know?
Yeah. It puts too much of a demand on these folks. Like, I mean, like, I think, like, bringing this kind of around, like, the Tour de France is so long, and it's so many stages, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, and I
Yeah.
am frankly surprised, like, even though they're pros, I'm surprised that we don't get more people just, like, bailing for
Yeah.
mental reasons, right? Like,
Oh,
um,
man.
yeah,
So tough. So
yeah,
tough.
yeah.
Should should we end on that happy note?
We love the tour, we're happy that it's here, and,
Yeah.
we love $50,000 time trial bikes.
Oh, do we ever? Do we ever? All right, everybody. We're going to wrap this one up there. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Velo podcast. We hope you enjoyed us talking about some tour tech and talking about some big adventures that we've done recently. Remember to go to the Velo homepage because there is a load of tour coverage there from the entire Velo team, from Alvin, from Hoodie, from Jim, from Shane, from Hannah, from Will. Who am I forgetting? From a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody is working hard. So go check out the tour coverage and stay tuned for more because we're going to have a
yeah.
lot more.
I'm proud of everyone. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming.
Yep. All right, guys. See you around.